Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of Primath Zoom. I am Miss Shanika, and it is lovely to have you here with me today. We will be practicing some math diagnostic test practice to help you prepare for your upcoming exam. As you join, please type hello in the chat so that I know you're here. Hello, Janet. Hello, Shaniqua. Hello, Zahara. Hello, Zidane. Hello, Mikhail. Hello, Damian. Hello, Natasha. Hello, Shamika. Hello, Victoria. Hello, Yannick. Welcome. Hello, K Black. Hello, Sophia. All right, now as we wait for our friends to join, please go right ahead and share this link with any of your friends who you think might not have this link or who you think might not have joined so that they can also benefit from this live session. While you're also doing that, if you are new here, type first in the chat and also go ahead and subscribe so you know whenever I post a new video or I come live to do some live practices. I want everyone also to get your pencil and your notebook because you will be solving some problems in real time here with me. Hello, Malachi. Hello, Damian. We're going to start in about 1 minute. And while we wait for others to join, go ahead and tell me which school you are joining us from. I see Good Hope. Welcome. Lovely K Black. That means you have not missed any of our lessons. Awesome. Hello, Zahara. All right, we have Nazareth in the house, JVB Academy, Hagley Park Prep, Mount Fletcher Primary, Crescent Primary, Nazareth Primary, St. John's Primary, Richmond Primary, and Infant School, St. John's, Fair Prospect, Excelsior High and Infant. Welcome. Hi, Ajani. Okay, now to get our brain juices flowing, we will go to our usual rapid response questions. First correct answer in the chat. What plus 7 equals to 12? What number plus 7 equals to 12? Welcome, Winter Castle Primary. Hope you did well in that exam, K Block. Welcome, Mile Gully. Good job, Shamika. First one. Damian, K Block, Ajani. Janet, good job. Yes. 5 plus 7 equals to 12. True or false? 15 is an odd number. True or false? 15 is an odd number. First correct answer in the chat. Good job, Zahara. Damian, first. Shamika, Natasha, K Block, Malachi, Mikhail. Okay, very good. Meredith, Niger. The answer is true. 15 is an odd number. Which is greater, 34 or 43? 34 or 43? Which is greater? Good job, Michael. 43, Shamika, 43, K Black, 43. Good job, guys. Yes, 43 is greater than 34. What is 10 more than 26? What is 10 more than 26? What is 10 more than 26? Good job, K Black. First one, 36. Damien says the same. Zahara, Shamika, you have 46, but it says 10 more. Michael, check your answer. It says 10 more than 26. Good job, Zahara. Very good. Good job, Ramik. Awesome. So the correct answer is 36. 36 is 10 more. Good job, Sophia, Unique, Malachi, Ajani. Good job, Janet. Next question. I have 3 apples. I get 12 more. How many apples do I have now? I have 3 apples. I get 12 more. How many apples do I have now? Good job, Shamika. You have very good listening skills. Damian, Kay, Ajani, Sujay, Michael, very good. Yes, the answer is 15. Now I see that your brain juices are flowing and you are ready for today's practice. Let's go right ahead to our first question. How many more books does Sam need to have so that he has the same number of books as Kim? Let's take a look at this bar graph to see how many more books does Sam need to have so that he has the same number of books as Kim. All right, I see Damien says 6K, Black says 6 more, Shamika says 6. How did you get 6? How did you get 6 for your answer? Why do you say 6? All right, Shamika says 10 take away 4 equals 6. All right, nice. So first we need to identify where Sam's data is being represented right here. And here it shows that Sam has 4. And it's being compared to Kim, which is here. Kim has 10. So if we're comparing, we want to see how many more. We would need to find the difference of these two numbers. So 10 take away 4 equals 6. Good job. Persons who said that, you are correct. Good job. All right. Let's move on to our next question. Zidane says because he counted by 2. All right. And Damien says 4 plus 6 equals 10. Sujay says 4 because 6 plus 4 equals 10. Take a look at that, Sujay. Because Sam has 4, how many more does he need? Someone said they count by 2. So 2, 4, 6. He needs 6 more so he can reach 10 with Kim. All right. Next question. How many possible outcomes are there when a coin is tossed? Think about it. If you have a coin with you and you are to toss the coin, how many possible outcomes could there be? How many possible outcomes could there be? Shamika says 2. How did you get 2? Damien says 2. Ajani says 2. Victoria says 0. Malachi says 2. Meredith says 2. Also Michael. How did you get 2? Janet says 1. Welcome, Zaria. No problem. So Jay says 2. But how did you get 2 for those who said 2? How do you get 1? How do you get 0 for those who said 0 and those who said 1? Shamika says back and front. Very good. The coin only has 2 sides. It can either fall on the heads or it can either fall on the tail. And so there are only 2 possible outcomes. Good job. Malachi says there are two sides to a coin. Awesome. Same thing. Michael says the same thing. Very good. Awesome work. Let's go to our next question. What value must K have in the number sentence below to make the sentence true? What value must the K have in this number sentence to make the sentence true? Yes, Zidane. There are only two sides. All right. Zidane says 6. Malachi says 6. How did you get 6? Amali says 3. How did you get 3? Nigel says 6. Janet says 6. Zahara says 6. Michael says 9. Shamika says 6. Yannick K. Blacker Johnny says 6. How did you get 6? I'm seeing many persons saying 6. Zidane says because 6 plus 6 equals 12. But this is one side of the equation. And the other side of the equation is this. So how did you get 6? Take a look again at this. Hi, Pauline. Damien, you said 9. How did you get 9? So the persons who said 6 explained that they said 6 plus 6 equals 12. But I need to see an explanation from the persons who says 9. This is one side of the equation. This is another side. The equal is in the middle to balance this. Shamika also says 9, but how did you come up with 9? I'm seeing persons saying 9, but how did you come up with 9? Michael says 6 plus 9 equals 15, and 12 plus 3 equals 15. All right. Zidane says 6 plus 9 equals 15. All right. Welcome, William. It's okay. Zahara says 6 plus 6 equals 12, and 12 plus 3 equals 15. Yes, Zahara, and because it says that, remember it says to make the sentence true. So I will go with what Michael says. He says 6 plus 9 equals 15, and 12 plus 3 also equals to 15. But the side that we have all the numbers, let's go ahead and calculate that first. 12 plus 3 is equal to 15, as you guys have said. But if you look at this side, we need to find a number that when added to 6, it also gives us 15. Which number is that? 6 plus 6 equals 12. So if we have 12 here, 12 is not equal to 15. Therefore, that could not have been the correct answer. The persons who said 9, if we have 6 plus 9, let's count that. Let's put the bigger number in our brains, and then we count on to 15, 6, 9 in our heads, then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We counted on 6 more. So 6 plus 9 would be equal to 15. So we need to replace the K with 9. So both sides of this number sentence can be true. So for those who said 9, way to go, good job. And for those who said 6, I hope you understand what I've just explained. All right. Let's go to our next question. Let's take a look at this bar graph. Who had 2 books in his or her bag? So here we have the number of books on this axis, and we have the names of students on the other. All right. So let's think about it like that. I'm seeing person saying Pat. How did we come up with that? All right. So let's take a note at how many books each person has. William says Pat because it shows 2 on the chart. Pauline says B because it shows Pat. Name what the line goes over to 2. Okay, so let us start by seeing how many books each person has. Here we have Kim, and if we go up with the number of books, we realize that Kim has 10. I put 10 here for Kim. Here we have Ron. We go over to the axis that shows the number of books. It shows that Ron has 6 books. With Pat, we go over. Shows that Pat has 2 books. We have Sam. If we go over here, we have 4. So for those who said Pat has 2 books, yes, you are correct. This one is an easy one because you can just look at the graph and see which bar stops at 2. All right, good job, guys. Let's go to our next question. Let's take a look at this diagram. It shows stickers collected by Tina. We're going to use it to answer this question. So here the question says, which sentence would best represent the information in the diagram? So if we take a look at the diagram here, which of these number sentence would represent the information? Go ahead and write the number sentence in the chat, not A, B, or C. Write the number sentence that matches this picture in the chat. Shamika says 6 plus P equals 11. Let's see what the others are saying. Damien is saying the same thing. Now, CJ, we don't have a response that says 6 plus 5 equals 11. We have to see which of the responses represents the information. Michael says 6 plus P equals 11. So does Lejean and Natasha and Queen, Roberts, Malachi, Moya. All right. Okay. Can someone tell me, why did you choose that to be the correct answer? Why didn't you choose 6 plus 5 equal P or 6 plus P equal 5? How do you justify that 6 plus 5 equals 11 is the correct answer? All right, Pauline says 6 plus P equals 11. William says the same thing. Meredith, Kasian, not Yannick. Check your answer, Yannick, Nigel, and Zidane. But how did you get that one? Pauline says because you know how much is P, but do we know? P is an unknown. So when we have a letter representing a missing number, then P is an unknown. If we don't know the unknown, we represent it by using a letter, or we represent it by using a shape, but we use a symbol to represent P. Now, Zidane says P is 5 and 6 is 6 plus 5 is 11. Michael says there's nothing in the box. Shamika says because if you take away 11 from 6, I guess she means 6 from 11 is equal to 5. William is saying P is equal to 5. Pauline is saying because you don't know how much is P. Natasha says because the middle box is empty, so we use P. Yes, Natasha, precisely so. We don't have anything in this box. We can call it P because it is an unknown. Now we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus P, we don't know P, is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is equal 11. It did not ask us for the answer. It asked us which of these number sentence would represent what is showing in the picture. So if you said 6 plus p equals 11, good job to you. You are definitely correct. Good job. Now let's look at this question. It says, which of the following shapes could belong in the box marked X? Let's look at this table here. We have one column showing the polygons. Here we have this polygon. We have this one. But here we don't have a polygon. That's what we're trying to figure out. Here it tells us that this first polygon has right angle. It says right angle. Yes. This polygon has right angle, at least one right angle. Does it have 4 sides? Yes. So this description matches this first polygon. If we're to look at this second polygon, it says, does this polygon have a right angle? Yes, it has at least one right angle. Does it have 4 sides? No. So they put no. We now need to think about what polygon will this be that has no right angle and does not have 4 sides. Which polygon would be this one? Same person saying C, some person saying A. Tell me, why do you say C is the correct answer? Why do you say A is the correct answer? Why do you say B is the correct answer? I see someone saying B. This is a multiple choice. It cannot be A or C. It has to be one of them. When you're in your exam, you can't shade A and C and let them say, oh, it's A or C. You have to have one answer. It's a multiple choice. All right. So think about it. You have time to think and figure it out. And then you can choose the answer and give us an explanation as to why. All right. Lejeune says because she's like, it's shaped like an L. But we're trying to figure out what this shape is based on if it has right angle or if it has 4 sides. So let's think about it like that. All right. So Natasha says because C is not finished. Is it not? That's the shape that they intended. Shamika says because C, it has 6 sides. Malachi says because C has more than 4 sides. Paris says she meant C because it has 5 sides and no right angle. Zohara says because the triangle has 3 sides and no right angle. Pauline says A because triangle don't have 4 sides, neither has it a right angle. All right. Damien says A does not have right angles or 4 sides. All right. Niger says C is not a polygon. Remember, a polygon is any shape, any closed shape made of straight sides, right? So this is a closed shape. It is a polygon. Maybe not a regular polygon, but it's a polygon. Now let us take a look at the options we have. We start with the triangle. Let's look at A. The triangle. Does the triangle have any right angle? And let me go ahead and talk about right angles. You see this shape in here? If it gives you an L like this, it has one right angle. It has another one at the top. Once it can give you that L shape, which is like 90 degrees, it has a right angle. The triangle here also can give you this L shape. So yes, it has right angle, as you can see here. Now, the square, the first shape, let me not really name it, but this first shape also has 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, that's why they have yes there. This one says 4 sides. 1, 2, 3. No, that's why it has that there. Let us look at our first answer, A. A. None of these give us a L shape because a L shape would be like this. So clearly there is no right angle in A. None of these angles here would give you an L shape. None of them would measure 90 degrees. So A has no right angle, as you can see there. And let's see if it has four sides. 1, 2, 3. No, and it does not have four sides. You notice that all of these two criteria here, these two properties match up with what A has. But let us check B. B here has, as you can see, no right angle is here for B. No right angle. So we can say B has no right angle. Now let's see if B has four sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. It has four sides. So that does not work. B could not have been the answer. Let us see C. Let's see if it has any right angle. Yes, it has many right angles. One here, one here, one here. It has many right angles. So B, C would be yes, it has right angle. But let's see if it has four sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it doesn't have four sides. So you realize that C could not work, B could not work, but A matches the properties perfectly. So if your answer was A, good job. Those who didn't get A initially, I hope that you understand why A is the correct answer now. Let's go to the next question. Which of the following items is not shaped like a cube? Which of the following items is not shaped like a cube? Remember, when we see not in a question, we have to make sure we keep that in mind. All right, so which one is not shaped like a cube? The ice cube, the dice, the loaf of bread. Which one? Damien says the bread. June Plum says the bread. All right. June Plum says a loaf of bread. Odane says the bread does not shape like a cube. Natasha also says the bread. I agree. Zaria says bread. And I agree. Yes, they do not shape like a cube. The ice cube is definitely a cube. And if you have a die, you know that it is definitely a cube. Pauline says, C, it has a rectangular shape. It is also, and it's also, the top is a little bigger than the bottom. All right. Very good, Pauline. I like the way you're reasoning this out. William says, C, bread, it just look, okay, that's not really a reason. We're talking about math, reasoning, math reasoning. Okay. Not because something looks like it means it is so. All right. When we're talking about math, we use some specific properties, maybe numbers, those kind of a thing that we use to prove. All right. Good job, guys. If your answer is a loaf of bread, way to go. Let's take a quick brain break. Would you rather have no homework or no tests? Let me hear what you think in the chat. Would you rather to have no homework or no tests? If you could choose one, which one would you rather not have? Yes, it's 3D, it's not cube shaped. So that should be your response, okay? All right, June Plum says no homework. Pauline says no test. Moya says no test. Kasian says no test. I wonder why. Zohara says no test. Michael says, no, you only have to choose one, Michael. You and Zaria, you only have to choose one. Paris says no test. Cynthia says no homework. Molly says no homework. Okay, many people are saying no homework. Some are saying no tests. Angela says you're going to make me pass my test and you're great. Oh, and you're a great teacher, miss. Thank you, Angela. I thought you were explaining. Thank you. I'm happy I could be that for you. All right. So let's move on now to our next question. For me personally, I would prefer to not have any test, because a test goes towards my final grade, and what if I didn't get full marks or so. So I would prefer not have any test if I could choose for me. Let's go to our next question. A dressmaker needs 3 meters of ribbon to complete a set of dresses. She has 180 centimeters of the ribbon. How much more ribbon does the dressmaker need? Before you answer in the chat, please think about what this question says. Do not rush to answer in the chat. Read this for yourself. See what they're saying here. Put a line or just note in your brain which parts of this question are the important parts, and then you can try to answer it. Don't rush to put your answer. And of course, when you put your answer, make sure you have a justification in the chat. You explain why did you come up with that answer. I see Beverly saying 300 centimeter. How did you come up with that? Damien says 120 centimeter because 100 centimeter equals to 1 meter. Okay. None of the answers. 60 meters. Kamfarki, Jamaican girl. None of them is 60 meters. William says 120 centimeters because 180 plus 120 is equal to 300. But what units are you adding, William? When you put 180 watt plus 120 watt is equal to 300 watt. All right, let's see. Okay, all of those should be cm. All right. O'Malley says 100 centimeters because you have 180 centimeters, so you need 120 more centimeters. All right. Let me see here. Ken because says that's how much I use. Let's go with some math explanation here. Math reasoning. Pauline says because 100 centimeter makes 1 meter, and you're going to add 120 plus 180 to get 300, which will be 3 meters. Michael says 180 plus 120 equals 300, and 300 is 3 meters. 300 what? You're missing out your units, guys. But while you're missing out your units, I can understand what some of you are saying. But whenever you're doing your explanation, you cannot leave out your units. Because what if I'm supposed to assume that 180, when you say 180, you mean 180 kilogram or kilometer or centimeter or centiliter. You know what I mean? You have to make sure you have your units that tells us exactly what you're doing. So let us look at the important facts, the important things in this problem. A dressmaker needs 3 meters of ribbon to complete a set of dresses. She has 120 centimeters of the ribbon. How much more does she need? Does she need to make this dress? Now, 3 meters, 120 centimeters. You notice that you are using 2 different units of measure. You're using meters, you're using centimeters. So what we need to do is we need to convert something to another one. All right. So here we have 3 meters. Could we convert 3 meters into centimeters? And what would that be? If we have, because all the answers are in centimeters. So it would be easier to convert the meters to centimeters. So 3 meters would be equal to how many centimeters? Let me see. 3 meters would be equal to how many centimeters? 300 centimeters. Thank you, Paris. 300 centimeters. Now that we have 300 centimeters in mind, we know what 3 meters is equal to in centimeters. We can just go right ahead and start working this out. If she has 180 centimeters out of the 300, we need to see how much more she'll need. So now let's go right ahead and do some subtraction here. We have 300. We will take 180 out to see how many centimeters are remaining. 0 centimeters from 0 centimeters will have 0, 0 left. From 8 from 0, we can't. So we go to our neighbor, we regroup, take one of this 100, we are left with 200. Now we have 10, we can say 10 minus 8, we're left with 2. 2 minus 1, we're left with 1. So here you would see that she would need 120 centimeter more to make this dress. Many of you said 120 centimeters. Good job. For those who didn't get that at the beginning, I hope that now you do. Now you understand. Shamika says convert 3 meters into centimeters, which is 300 centimeter. 300 centimeter take away 100 centimeter equals to 120 centimeter. That's a lovely explanation, Shamika. Awesome, guys. All right, now let's focus on what we are doing here. Judith says I got 120 because I take away the 300 from, well, I think she means 180 from the 300 and she got 120. Awesome work. Let's go to our next question. The next question says, let's go ahead and read. What is the perimeter of the rectangle below? And in our past lessons, we have already remembered and we shared that perimeter means what? Especially for the persons who are new here. Go ahead, tell us, what is perimeter? When we think of perimeter, what are we talking about? I see Shamika coming in with an answer here. All right. I see Camp Farky, Jamaican girl, coming in with an answer. Chessa, June Plum. Well, let's see. What is perimeter? Yes, Shamika, the total distance around. So the total distance around this rectangle is what we are trying to find. So how do we come up with doing this? Thank you, Karine. How do we come up with doing this? All right, Karine says 20 meters because 7 plus 7 plus 3 plus 3 equals 20. Kasian says 20 meters because the sides are 3 and the top and bottom is 7. So add 7 plus 7 plus 3 plus 3 equals 20. All right. All right. Michael explains the same thing and Shamika. All right. So does Paris. Okay. All right. So you are correct. Now here we have a rectangle. We know that in a rectangle, the top number, the top measurement will be the same as the bottom measurement. They are the same length. So if this part if the length is 7 meters at the top, it means the opposite length is the same. Here we have 3 meters. It means the opposite is also 3 meters. Pauline is saying because they show answer for one side of the width and one side of the length. So she adds the length 2 times and the width 2 times because there are 4 sides in all. And there are 2 lengths and 2 widths. It's a very good way to think about it, Pauline. Good job. Lovely explanation. So now that we have the length for all 4 sides, as Pauline says that there are 4 sides, we can write 7 plus 7 plus 3 plus 3 is equal to, think about that while I read what Judith explains to say. She got 20 meters because she added 7 meters 2 times because opposite sides are equal in a rectangle. And she added 3 meters 2 times and she got 14 from the 7 meters and 6 from the 3 meters. When she added those, she got 20 meters. Awesome. So yes, that would be equal to 20 meters. So for those who got 20 meters and initially understood how to come up to that number, You are very much correct. Awesome work. I think you all are smart. All right. Next question. It says here, which statement is true? A, 2,000 grams is equal to 1 kilogram. B, 2,000 grams is less than 1 kilogram. C, 2,000 grams is greater than 1 kilogram. What would your answer be for this one? And why? Tell us why. Some persons are saying A, but why did you come up with A? What answer is at A? So I'll wait just a bit. Odette says, because if you multiply it, explain to us clearer, Odette. Zaria says, remember, it wants the bigger number. Does it? Damien says C, 2,000 grams is greater than 1 kilogram. But how did you come up with that? Go ahead and tell me, how did you come up with your answer? Malachi says because 1,000 grams equal to 1 kilogram. All right. Now, that is something that we need to think about in the beginning. We need to see then, what is 1 kilogram? How many grams make 1 kilogram? Very good, Malachi. That's the first thing we do need to think. Casey says because 2,000 grams is 2 kilograms and 2 kilograms is bigger than 1 kilogram. All right. Okay, Nigel said 1,000 gram is 1 kilogram, so it's not equal. Odette says multiply the numbers. Michael says 2,000 gram is greater than 1 kilogram because 2,000 grams is equal to 2 kilograms and not 1 kilogram. Thank you, Michael. That's lovely. William says 2,000 grams is greater than 1 kilogram because 100 gram is, I think you mean 1,000 gram is 1 kilogram. So 2,000 grams would be bigger than 1 kilogram. All right. Shanas Godfrey says because 1,000 gram is 1 kilogram, so 2,000 is 2 kilograms, so C. Pauline says because 1,000 gram makes 1 kilogram and it is 2,000 grams, that means it is greater than 1 kilogram. Chester says C because 2,000 equals to 2 kilogram, but it's not that, so it is C. All right. Niger says 2,000 grams is equal to 2 kilogram, so it is C. All right. Now, let us take some time, and I'll be using all your explanations here because those were good explanations. First, I saw where you guys worked out to say 1,000 grams is equal to 1 kilogram. I think that is important to note. So if 1,000 gram is 1 kilogram, it means that 2,000 grams will be 2 kilogram, right? So that means A is not true because it says equal to 1 kilogram. Here where it says 2,000 grams is less than 1 kilogram, well, if 1,000 gram is equal to 1 kilogram, 2,000 gram cannot be less than 1 kilogram. So that is also not true. C says 2,000 grams is greater than 1 kilogram. Because if 1,000 grams is 1 kilogram, 2,000 grams is greater than 1 kilogram. So yes, you are indeed correct. Judith further explains to say it's not A because 2,000 grams does not equal to 1 gram. B is not correct because 2,000 gram is not less than 1 kilogram. But C, 2,000 gram is more than 1 kilogram. Awesome. All right, Chessa, welcome. All right, good job. Let's go to our next question. Jack built a 1 kilometer track with gray and white strips of equal length, as shown below. What is the length of one gray strip? So let's take a look at this picture, this diagram below. What is the length of one of the gray strip? Go ahead, put your answer and also give me an explanation. All right, good job so far, guys. All right. Now I want explanations with your answers. So I see William saying 100 meter, but how did you get that to be the answer? All right. Damon is also saying 100 meters, but how did you come up with that? June Plum says 1,000 meters. How did you come up with your answer? Thank you, Gabriel. This is the grade 3 class, and the grade 6 class begins at 6 o'clock. Thank you. All right. Queen says 100 meters. Miss Butler says, Miss Butter says, Butterfly says 1,000 meter. Kasian says you should count it by thousands. Yannick is saying 100 meter plus 1 kilogram. Damien says 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. So tell us, why did you say 100 meters your answer? Or why did you say 1,000 meters your answer? Someone is also saying B. Do you mean 500 meters the answer? William says 1 kilometer is 1,000 meter. So 1 meter is correct. That answer is correct, but we need more to it. Chessa Haley Marriott says 100 because it can't be 500 or else it is not 1 kilometer. And C is 1,000 and it would not be that, and it is A. Okay, but how is it A? You tell us why 500 could not be and 1,000 could not be, but why is 100? Why is it 100? All right, so let me go right ahead and start explaining this. All right. So here it says that the whole length, this track is 1 kilometer. And 1 kilometer is the same as what? Someone had put it in the chat, but I forgot what it is. Who can tell me? What is 1 kilometer? 1 kilometer is equal to what? How many meters? 1 kilometer is equal to how many meters? How many meters make 1 kilometer? 1,000 meters. Thank you, Niger Damian Asage. 1,000 meters. Now, this track is divided into how many parts? Because it has the gray, the white, the gray, the white, and so on. And we need to see what each gray part is equal to. So let me see how many strips are here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 equal strips. 10 equal strips equal to 1,000 meters. So if we need to find out what each strip is, what do we need to do? If all of this is 1,000 meters, all of this is 1,000 meters, what length is this part? First, we need to think about dividing 1,000 into 10 equal parts, right? Very good, Lejean. We would divide this 1,000 meters into 10 equal parts. And when we divide 1,000 into 10 equal parts, what do we get? Each equal part would be what? We can say 10 into itself goes one time, 10 into 1,000. So we started into this part goes 1, and we add back these zeros. So we would have 100 meter each part. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. And that's how you can prove that there are only, the gray strip is 100 meters long. All right, good job. I hope you guys understand now, for those who did not have an explanation for this. All right, let's move on to our next question. Very good. Now in this question, it says this diagram below represents one picture in a large frame. Let's look at the frame, and it shows one picture. How many pictures of this same size can fit into the entire frame? Go right ahead and tell me your response in the chat. How many pictures of the same size could fit in this entire frame? And how do you know? How do you know? O'Malley says 12. But how do you know? Thank you, dear Bertie. Yannick says 12. How did you get 12? William says 12 because he counts it. How did you count this? I'm seeing lots of different small squares here. How did you count this? Justify properly. Ken says 12. Gordon says 12. Miss Butterfly says 24. Janet, Bertie, Zahara says 12. Nelia says 12. Natasha says 12. Nigel, Meredith. But Kessian, Quayne, you all say 12. Say the answer is 12, but how did you come up with that? Bertie, how did you come up with 24? O'Malley says the picture of Friends by 4. Don't understand that. Karine says 4 little box make a picture, so it would be 12. William says each pick is 4 squares. All right. Chessa says 12 because each of the 4 squares and equals 4, and the frame is 4. Gordon says he counted by 2. Damien says 12. He counted it. 1 picture is 4 square. All right. Niger is saying the same thing. Meredith saying the same thing. And guess what? I agree with you guys. 1 picture takes up 4 squares, 4 of the small squares. So 1 picture is there. This is 2 pictures now. 3 pictures. 4 pictures. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So this picture here, we can have 12 of it in this diagram, in this entire frame. Good job to those who said your answer is 12. Casey says 12 because the picture is 4 little boxes. You can also do it in arrays. Thank you, Casey. Good job, guys. Awesome work. Let's go to our next question. What day of the week is the 10th day of September? So let's take a look of this month of a calendar. And this month is showing September 2013. It is asking us what day of the week is the 10th day of September? What day of the week? right, thank you guys. Zohara Shamika says Tuesday. Of course. Now, this is a simple one. And I believe that everyone will be getting this correct because you just need to look. You need to find the 10th day of September, which is right here. And you'll see that it is Tuesday. Good job, guys. I know you guys are smart and none of you would have gotten this incorrect. Good job. Let's take a look at our next question. Using the same calendar, September 2013, what date is the fourth Friday in September? The fourth Friday in September would be what? Chessa says, all right, she's answering the previous one. Good job. All right, so the fourth Friday in September. Karine says September 27. June Plum says the same thing. So does Casey and Shamika, William, Meredith. Casey also said the same thing. Gordon Smith, Nigel. All right. All right. So here we can count 4 Fridays and see which one is the fourth. So here we're at Friday. So we identify Friday on the calendar. This is Friday number 1, second Friday, third Friday, fourth Friday. And that would be September 27th. All right. Good job. Awesome work, guys. This is our second brain break of the day. That means we have about 5 or 6 questions remaining. If animals could talk, which would be the funniest? If animals could talk, which animal would be the funniest one? Let me see what you guys think. Ooh, June Plum says dog. Karine says a cat. The June Plum says, okay. Which would be the funniest? Monkey? Well, monkeys can be pretty funny. All right. Someone says goat, pig, cat, dog, chipmunks. Wow. Interesting. Hyenas. Okay. All right. Someone says elephant. I've never thought about that, Zohara. An elephant talking. Someone is saying the dove. Giraffe. I've never, this would be, I think they all would be quite funny. Which one would be the funniest? Yeah. Cow. That's funny too. The donkey. All right. All right, guys. Thank you. Now, you have me imagining these animals and how they would be if they could talk. Michael says parrots because they already can talk. That's why I think parrots would not be the funniest because they're already talking. Owls, Queen, that's an interesting one. All right, guys, let's move on to our next question. Here, September 2013. Let's look at this calendar. On which day did October 2013 begin? So let's look at this calendar and you're going to tell me which day October 2013 will begin. Thank you, guys. William says elephants are smart. They have no time for jokes. That is funny. All right. So I see Nigel saying Tuesday, June Plum saying Tuesday, Karine as well. Zohara says Sunday. Shamika Chessa also says Tuesday. All right. Kapian says Sunday. All right. Kasian Zaria says Sunday. William says Tuesday. Zahara says Sunday. All right. Let's take a look at the calendar here. Now, September ends on the 30th. And the month that comes after September is which month? Which month comes after September? The month that comes after September is October. Who can tell me how many days are in September? How many days are generally in September? All right. How many days are generally in September? September has 30 days, always 30 days. So if it is that October comes after, the last day is September 30, and that's on a Monday, the next day has to be the new month. That means this would be the first day of this month, and the month would be October. Therefore, October will begin on a Tuesday. If you said Tuesday, good job. For those who said Sunday, let's take a look back and see why Sunday could not have been correct. Awesome work, guys. Let's go to the next question. The next question says, what temperature does the thermometer below show? What temperature does it show? So this thermometer is showing measurements in degrees Celsius. So whatever answer you give to me must be in degrees Celsius. This dark part of the thermometer tells us where the mercury is. And where does it stop? That gives us the answer. You notice that it stops here at 30. So yes, I see you all saying 30 degrees Celsius, and indeed, you are correct. Good job. We have 4 more questions to go. Let's go. Let's go to our next question. Put the following units of length in order from smallest to largest. We're going to put the following units of length in order from smallest to largest. Now, in the chat, let's go. Which of these units? We have kilometer, we have meter, we have centimeter. Put them in order from the smallest unit to the largest unit. And I will see. First correct answer in the chat. Let's go. Okay, so let me see some answers here in the chat. All right. So I see person saying A, person saying C, but I want you to write them in the correct order. Damien says 1 kilometer, 1 meter, 1 centimeter. That is A. But it says from the smallest to the largest. Let's think about that. K Black says 1 centimeter, 1 meter, 1 kilometer. Kasian says the same thing. Shamika says the same thing. All right. Any other answer? In the meantime, let us show this here. We know that the smallest unit here, we have 1 centimeter is equal to 100 meter or 1,000 kilometers. The fact that it has so many smaller units in it, it means that this is the smallest unit. So of course, centimeters are the smallest unit here. We would first start with the centimeter. Remember, centimeters are used to measure very small lengths, maybe your fingernail, maybe a soda can, maybe the length of a cup. Meter is much bigger than a centimeter because you need 100 centimeters to make 1 meter. And you can measure your door. 2 of the 2 meters can give you the length or the height of your door. So you'd notice that that's a bigger unit. And we use kilometer to measure what? When we are using kilometer, what usually is best? What usually do we measure with a kilometer? The best unit of measurement is kilometer is used for like what? When you're measuring, what would you use kilometer? I hope I'm asking this. Yes, Nigel, we can measure distance along the road. So you realize that kilometer is a very big unit. So we will start with centimeter, which is the smallest. This doesn't start with centimeter, nor does this. This does centimeter for the first one, and then the meter, and then the kilometer. So if your answer was C, then you are very much correct. All right, so it says from smallest to largest. Yes, Casey, we use kilometer for measuring from one parish to the next. You are right. Someone says the C, but you're still right because that's a big place. Thank you, guys. Let's go to our next question. It says, which of the following could be the temperature on a warm, sunny day? Which of the following could be the temperature on a warm, sunny day? And why? Tell me why. Go ahead and tell me why. And while you're figuring this out, remember that this is lesson 7 for grade 3. For those who did not join from lesson 1, these lessons are still available on my channel Prime Math Zoom in the playlist grade 3 diagnostic test. So when you type in Prime Math Zoom on YouTube, you go to the playlist, you find grade 3 diagnostic test, then you'll be able to find all those lessons that you did not get to watch. As well as if it is that you need extra practice, you can always go back and watch these videos again. All right. Another reminder, tomorrow at 4 p.m., we will have our last class for the week. I hope to see you there. All right. So I see persons saying 30 degrees Celsius in the chat. And I see persons saying 100 degrees Celsius in the chat. Damien says 30 degrees is not too cold and it's not too hot. I love that, Damien. All right, let me see what others are saying. Why did you say 30 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees Celsius? Let me see some answers for this. Let's justify your answers. I like the way that Damien says 30 degrees Celsius is not too cold and it's not too hot. Katie says 30 degrees Celsius because 36 degrees Celsius is normal person's body temperature. 30, Karine says 30 because it is between 5 and 100, which is not cold or hot. Okay. Lejean says the reason he picks 30 degrees is because it goes up to 100 degrees Celsius, and that can be too hot. You're so right. June Plum says 1000 degrees Celsius will be way too hot, so it's 30 degrees Celsius. See, I know you guys are smart because I was wondering what explanations you people will be giving me for this. Chester says the 30 degrees because it is warm and in the middle. William says it's the exact temp on a warm and sunny day. Lejean said 100 is not too hot. Is it not? And it is not too cold. Who can tell me when we say 100 degrees Celsius, we're talking about what point? Let me see. 100 degrees Celsius is what point? When we talk about 100 degrees Celsius, if we have water and it is 100 degrees Celsius, it is at which point? We know that 100 degrees Celsius is boiling point. I mean, if you were out there in a hot sunny day, a warm sunny day at 100 degrees Celsius, you would be boiling, as in literally boiling like water in a pot. Zuri says 30 degrees Celsius is not that freezing and it's not that hot. Plus, if it is 2000 degrees Celsius, it's too hot and will make us melt. Well, you only need 100 degrees Celsius, my dear, to melt. All right, William says, yes, it is the boiling point. So 100 degrees Celsius is impossible to live in. It's impossible to be outside. That cannot be warm. That is literally boiling. That is hot. 5 degrees Celsius. Who can tell me what the freezing point is before I even go any further? What is the freezing point? So you know the boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. But what is the freezing point? Let me see. What's the freezing point? 0 degrees Celsius, says Queen. Very good. The freezing point is 0 degrees Celsius. So if it is 0 degrees Celsius, the freezing point, 5 degrees Celsius is going to be extremely cold. Very good, Zuri and William. 0 degrees Celsius. 5 degrees Celsius is close to the freezing point because that's going to be very cold. The only possible number here, 30 degrees Celsius, which is 5 degrees Celsius more than the normal room temperature. So it therefore means that 30 degrees Celsius could be the temperature on a warm, sunny day. Can never be 100 degrees Celsius. Can never be 0 degrees Celsius. That's too cold. And 100 degrees Celsius is too hot. Did you know that where I live here in Kuwait, it gets, in the summer, it gets to even 50 something degrees Celsius. Now, you know that is extremely hot. That is on its way to the boiling point. So, but in Jamaica, while Jamaica is hot or very, very warm, it never gets up to 50 degrees Celsius. All right. Next question. Use the information below to answer question 35. Okay. Bill picked 10 mangoes. Bill's brother picked 18 mangoes. Some mangoes were ripe and juicy. How many mangoes in all were picked? Now, this is the information. And the question says, which sentence is not needed? Let me get my pen because that's important to note. Which sentence is not needed to solve the problem? Not needed. Now, A says some mangoes were ripe and juicy. Do we need that information to solve this problem? Bill picked 10 mangoes. Do we need that information to solve this problem? Bill's brother picked 18 mangoes. Do we need that information to solve this problem? Which one don't we need? If you need to find out how many mangoes in all were picked, which one do we not need? Person saying A, person saying B. Now, if it says Bill picked 10 mangoes and Bill's brother picked 18 mangoes, and we want to know how many in all were picked, we have to know how many Bill picked and how many his brother picked. So Bill picked 10 mangoes is a needed information. Bill's brother picked 18 mangoes is a needed information to figure out how many mangoes in all were picked. But some mangoes were ripe and juicy. That is not information we need to calculate how many mangoes in all were picked. So if you said A, way to go. Good job. Awesome, guys. All right. Now, the last question for today is, if 2 oranges cost $30, how much do 6 oranges cost? 2 oranges cost $30. Don't pay note to the picture. Just look at the statement that says if 2 oranges cost $30, how much do 6 oranges cost? Let me see your answer in the chat as well as your explanation. Good job, Karine. I see your explanation here for the question that we did before. Good work. All right. So tell me, what's the answer for this question and how did you come up with it? Damien says $90 because 30 plus 30 plus 30 equals 90. Nice, Damien. Good job. Karine says 90 because 1 is for 15 and 15 times 6 equals 90. Very good way to think of it as well, Karine. Casey says 90 because you multiply 30 times 3. Good job. You all are correct so far. William says $90 because 30 times 3 equals 90. Good job. Let me see some more responses here. All right, Pamela, good job. Zuri, very good. Now, I will go ahead and we'll work this out together. So go with me, work with me. Now, 2 oranges cost $30. We need cost for 6 oranges. Orange 1, orange 2, that's equal to $30. 3, 4 oranges, that's another $30. 5, 6 oranges, that's another $30. That's one way to figure it out. Very simple way to figure it out. 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals 0. 3 plus 3 is 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 3, that's 9. So we end up with $90. 6 oranges will cost $90. Person said they multiply 30 by 3 because we need 3 groups of 2 to make 6. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 3 is 9. That comes up with the same answer as well. However way you approach it, once it's one of these approach or once it's where you're representing the 6 oranges to find the cost, most likely you would have gotten the correct answer. If you said $90, you are correct. You are correct. All right. Now, if you enjoyed this session, please drop some hearts in the chat. And in the meantime, I want to tell you that you did a great job today. I'm very proud of your efforts, your explanations in the chat, and the focus that you guys had today was very commendable. Very good. All right. Now, I will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for our last class for the week. All right. So take care. It was great having you. Bye-bye.